Hello everyone, it's me Evan, and welcome back to the channel. So today, we're going to be doing a little tutorial on how to make the scriptless guided missile that I showed off in my guided controller, turret controller guided missile for Vanilla Space Engineers. That video has been doing really well, and I've gotten a lot of comments on it saying, hey, we'd like to know how to make that. I will oblige. It's not exactly difficult to do. And of course this will just be my particular version of this, so this is by no means the only way to do it, or even the best way to do it. Gyroscope. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, warheads. Hinge. Yeah, okay. So quite the parts list, you can see. At least if you want to make it functional for survival mode, at least. So let's start with the main body of this thing. So we're going to want small block hinge, the little guy, and really only the hinge head. This is going to be the body. This is going to be where we start the body of our missile. So you get, oops, you get 4 of these guys going. That's the mounting places for our engines. And if you're wondering why these look a little weird, it's because that I'm using an aesthetic mod that just improves the hydrogen thruster visuals, but that's not exactly important. It just gives them a slightly different fire effect and everything. Let's make that a little more balanced. There. Perfect. And I've added on these little extra thrusters to help it in braking burns and stuff. So now we get our small hydrogen tank, one of those, and then like so. Right, you following, tracking? Then we get armor plate. This is going to be actually where the first gyroscope goes. So get our rotor part, stick it there. Yeah. Then we start filling in the area here. So we need a battery. There's some batteries. We need, that's right, I usually put the turret controller, at least I try and hide it away. Leave. And the direction this goes does matter. I think that was the correct orientation, but we'll see. Who knows? Okay, so we got one rotor head. Okay, yeah, and then we're going to want another. And these rotors, they can really be anywhere on the build, so if I really wanted to, I could stick them, you know, just wherever. The important thing is that this has to stay open. We're going to put our rocket launcher on here, and then see, that's tough. We could start. We could be. Yeah, let's put the other. We'll use a armor plate, I guess. If we can find the half, there it is, the half block flat. Put it like that. Then we can stick on. Actually, no, because the never mind. Sorry, I was thinking if I could put the gyroscope inside of this sort of area, then that would be better. But the problem is that the gyroscope has a square hitbox, probably because of the square base housing. Like, you know, the mounting point is square on this thing. So, unfortunately not going to work. We are going to want to create our individual gyroscope units, though. I just do it like this. You delete that head, and then... Ooh, hold up. One more thing to add is a... There we go. That does not have a hitbox, I don't think, so yeah. And then we're going to want to go in here, get this guy on override. That all looks good. So we'll need that in a little bit. Then we can actually start putting our warheads in. And quite a few of them at that. What else? I mean, we can stick some stuff in here if we need. But we can go right to the front here now. And start putting on. I like to use blast doors because of their impact resistance properties. It's like 2 layers like that, usually. But if you want more of a lighter missile, you could just put some like simple armor plates on the front. Either way, it works. It works fine either way. I believe we can put a battery right there, because I do think this thing should have 2 batteries to function properly. Let's see how much those are drawing. Current output. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And then that's most of our actual body of the missile set up here. And then we just got this little guy to put on. So I'm going to grab myself a great desk. And let's put... get this little guy here. Perfect. Oh, actually, first I should... Actually, if I just replicate that, that's fine. So you are going to want 2 of these little gyroscope units. You want to be very careful. In fact, it'd probably be better if I grabbed another desk to hold the missile here. But, in fact, I'm going to do that. Because if this starts drifting, it's going to be a lot harder to build. Let's just clamp on up here. Perfect. All right. Okay, so then if I let go of that, go over here, and go and attach. There we go, we got 1 unit on. And we get another little rotor, gyroscope, delete the rotor head, stick a button panel on it. See, this is a little bit hard to manufacture just en masse, just because that there are 2 subgrids, and the way you attach it for the most part is also a subgrid, so it can be a bit wacky. This version does not have a merge block on it, but if you want, you could substitute one of the batteries. Actually, no, I think both the batteries are required, but you could substitute one of the warheads for a merge block, and it would probably achieve more stable behavior. Alright. There is number 2. Let's see. Alright. Oh yeah, I should probably make sure they're both on override. There we go. And now comes the setup for the actual controller. So if we look over here, we've got our turret controller. We go through, azimuth rotor. I don't know if it actually matters as long as they're different. So if I actually name one of these rotor 2, right, we go in, yeah, rotor 1, rotor and rotor 2. We're going to turn these all the way up because this allows it to spin up to a maximum speed here. And then we're going to add our rocket launcher and then turn on the AI. So now this thing should be actively trying to go, or at least not yet, but it will try to go mash some people. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to get our first 4 hydrogen thrusters, and we're going to put these in main thrust and toggle those off, turn the override on, right? So now when that group turns on, it is snap acceleration from all 4 of these thrusters on the back, right? So now oh yeah, we also need to make sure that the rotors have a proper amount of displacement. I think this is enough, actually. This should be enough displacement for those. Alright, so now we have a enemy combatant over here. Can't really see it. It's next to that military mine layer, but it does not have a signal on, so it should be that little floating piece of junk right there. It was just a hull from an old ship I never finished. But anyway, it's a small block hull, I should add. So this will do a particularly large amount of damage. If we want to launch this just on its own, like without a ship to launch it from, what we can do is we can take a... Actually, I already have this in toolbar 1. You can take a timer block, stick it in here, right, and then set up the engines to fire after a time, and then just copy paste it. Oh, I forgot. One of the things, I almost forgot this. You want to get a sensor on the front here, and then take your sensor. You want it to detect stations, large ships, small ships, players, no, subgrids, yes, asteroids, yes, owner, nope, friendly, no, neutral, yeah, we want it to detect neutral and enemy, audible proximity alert, that's fine, front extent, take that all the way up, back extent, none, and that should be good. And then warheads, we grab our warheads, yep, and now what we can do is we have our sensor, set up actions, and we can go to groups and have this arm our warheads. So that means that when it's looking at something and it sees it, the warheads are armed. So they should theoretically explode. So now this thing should be ready. And that also means with this system, the warheads are going to be safe until they actually reach the target. They're not going to detect your ship and accidentally blow up then. They'll be nice and safe. They can even get hit with bullets. And until it detects an enemy grid, it will it just won't explode. So that's good. The only problem is that hydrogen tanks now sometimes explode. Yeah. So ideally, in a survival situation, you would have this hooked up to a ship that is providing all the juice, the sweet hydrogen juice. And we're just going to it usually be connected here with this rotor, but we're just going to simulate that with a H2 generator, like so. Yeah, they're recharging quick. Good, good. So really, there we are. That should be probably all of it. Let's just make sure. Yep, okay, that's all of it. And then we're going to, we're just going to get rid of that. Copy this again, now that it's basically ready. And go in. We're going to grab our timer block. Delay like 4 seconds. I have to toggle on main thrust. And then start, and we copy it. Alright, so now main thrust activates, it flies off into space. You can see the torpedo is actually flying off towards its target over there. It missed, it looks like, but it's curving around. Look at that. I mean, you guys can probably barely see that. It's just a couple pixels on my screen. But let's follow this one in. So it flies, 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 and then, oh, it found its target. And check that out. Just the fact that it's changing its vectoring so much is enough cause for, oh, it just lost a gyroscope. That ain't good. It's trying, but it doesn't have, yeah, it's gonna die now. But it is distracting the turrets quite effectively. Look at how long this thing's able to keep these turrets occupied, despite being damaged and all that. I mean, every turret that's not shooting at your ship is a good thing. Now, let's ditch this torpedo to its fate and see what we can do with a couple more, because these are best done in waves. Oh yeah, I forgot to do that. So that's one thing that you definitely need to make sure you do, and that is to set them so they don't fire their rocket launcher. I mean, you can have them fire their rocket launcher too, and that does sometimes increase the effectiveness, but yeah. So if I fly over here, and then we just sort of sling... Look at that thing, still fucking it. Yeah, if we just sort of... like a couple missiles here. Wow, that military mine layer is very close. So look at these things go. In it goes, and direct hit. Took out that main drive. You can also, of course, have these torpedoes, since they're using the turret controller block, you can have them target subsystems, all kinds of stuff. Alright, so we are en route with a torpedo at the tail end of a volley. There's our capital ship target. We've changed targets because that, well, the previous one was causing some serious performance issues. Are we actually going to get close enough, or are we going to just blow right by this thing? We might just blow right by. Well, actually, no, never mind. We got targeting lock. Look at that. Oh yeah, it has begun. I'm going to move away from this torpedo. Look at it go. You've got this. Go. Check that out. Punched a hole right in this thing. Okay, calm down. Calm down, interior turrets. It's okay. Yeah, you can see this thing's got quite a big point defense grid. I should probably have it to stop targeting characters, because that's actually going to decrease the usefulness of this test. Let's back up outside of the PDC range, and then send in a volley here. I'd say this is probably about normal for how many torpedoes you could be sending at a craft like this, particularly if you're a big ship with lots of ability. You can see once it enters that targeting range, those gyroscopes spin up. It starts firing rockets and all that. And wham! Right into it. I think the warheads aren't activated, so I'm not really sure how that'll work, but look at that thing go. And because that they're constantly changing their velocity vector, it's very, very hard for the PDC grid to actually intercept them. So if we just keep bringing these things in, yep, and then begin targeting. Those gyroscopes spin up. Look at it go. Zoning in right. Oh, I missed. Oh, man. I got ripped up. Yeah, with when you're fighting against large grid, it's particularly difficult. You just sort of throw around a couple that they're facing the wrong way, I should know, to start, but you can see they're already streaking back in. That was a pretty heavy impact. Look at that. Fling a couple of these off in random directions. You can just see these missiles are doing a pretty mean job of at least distracting the turrets, but in a lot of cases doing a lot more than that. I mean, if they're pointed right at the target and they actually are allowed to get there, they'll fly pretty well through the defense grid. And this is heavy armor here, and it was able to do this kind of damage. I think the warhead went off in that case. But yeah, you can see, you know, like a dozen torpedoes, and we've got some pretty meaningful hits. We've at least scared them. They do get a lot more effective when you add the little engines to the side, although it's not strictly necessary. Because they do really help arrest the angular momentum of these things and give the turrets a pretty hard time with targeting. So yeah, legit stuff. Alright, you guys have a good one, and I will see you next time.